The 41-page report is titled Somalis in Exile and the Securitization of Refugee Policy, published by the International Refugee Rights Initiative. It highlights growing fear among refugees, mainly in Africa and the US. The report also sheds more light on security strategies in some countries that it says doesn't adequately guarantee refugee protection. Kenya is one of the countries listed in the report, faced by a wave of deadly terror attacks, mainly from the militant group Al-Shabaab, and in 2014, more than 1,000 Somalis were rounded up in Nairobi and held at a concentrated detention camp before being deported back. The report also suggests that negative rhetoric fosters negative public perceptions among host community against a community that has fled violent extremism from its own country.
The Somali refugee in Kenya is subjected to some sort of exclusion, not by the public, but by the security forces. The issue of security should not be politicized at all. Kenya has linked the refugee crisis to terrorism, but has failed to provide any evidence.
The publication, however, points a positive picture of refugee conditions in Uganda, the first African nation to deploy its troops to Somalia to battle an extremist group. Asylum seekers and Somali students say that Kampala hasn't singled them out for security grounds, despite a deadly attack in Uganda in 2010 that killed 70 people. And in the US, Somalis face uncertainty with a travel ban imposed by President Donald Trump since taking over office. Thousands of asylum seekers, mainly in designated UN camps, have no idea of any possibility of ever reuniting with their family members in the US.
Trump's policy has created a hostile feeling between the American public and incoming and present refugees residing in the US. The public isn't the problem, but it's the policy that's being created that is creating renewed fear and tension.
Faced with all these challenges, Somalis opt for migration, passing through dangerous routes, falling into the hands of smugglers who exploit their status. In Libya, hundreds of asylum seekers hoping to reach Europe have been held there for more than 2 years, with smugglers demanding $8,000 to $10,000 for safe passage. In South Africa, scores of Somalis have been killed in xenophobic-related attacks. Most Somalis reside in South Africa and have small business ventures in some of the remote regions of that country. And the targeted killings has created a renewed fear for would-be asylum seekers heading there. The report is based on 80 qualitative interviews conducted with Somalis in predominantly refugees and some non-refugees living in Kenya, Uganda and the US, and was conducted between the month of March and June 2017. Abdulaziz, Billow, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.